I click to the login, first thing first, what we are doing, let's go below, and here you see we are calling the form key current state validate. Actually, that is not good practice. What we can do, we can call this validation in our Cubit itself, because the Cubit or any state management tool is created for separating the logic from the presentation layer. So that's why I want to validate the users in the Cubit itself. So here in my login method, I will call validate method. So form key, we can use this, and then dot current state dot validate. Okay, and now here, as you see, we are going to use exclamation mark because the state can be null. And also, what I want to do, I just basically want to check this first thing first. I want to check if the form validate, or if the form is not validate, I'm just going to return. So return means don't do anything right over here, okay? And when I call the validate method, what happens, error message is going to be shown to the user. So which means we can actually get rid of this, but we have to call the login method inside of the Cubit, and we will say login. Okay, now if I restart the application and if I log in, now as you see, this validation is working, and it is not validate. That's why there is no any state emit right over here. As you see, first thing first, we are getting our state, and then we have a copy with method. So let's see what we have in the state. We have just one state, which is a login state. We have is loading, has error, has data, and error itself. And in the Cubit, the first state is the loading, okay? Because this copy with is accepting loading as a first. So which means the first thing first is the loading. So I want to use this. Basically, if the form is valid, it is going to pass this line and it is going to emit this state. And I want to use this loading state in the login screen. In my case, I'm going to use it for elevated button. So when user clicks to this login button, I just want to change this login text to loading indicator. And then if it is successful, it is going to go to the new screen. If it is not, it is going to maybe show some error message or snack bar right over here. I'm using Bloc builder right over here. And then we are going to say login Cubit, and here it is going to be login state. And here we can use some condition for the child of elevated button, and we can say that if the state is loading, I want to use, for example, circular progress indicator. So we will say circular progress indicator. Otherwise, if it is not loading, which means if there is error, if there is success, I don't care. I just want to get the text again. Okay, so let's use constant here. And now let's check what is going to happen. And by the way, we can get rid of this one because we already use it in the login Cubit. Now restart application. I will type something here and login. So here I believe that this login is happening very quickly. So what can we do right over here? We can use the feature delayed for some delay, but normally it should happen a little bit longer, like milliseconds, for example 300 milliseconds. And now let's see what's going to happen. I will type something and now I will click to that. Now we forget the await here, because if we don't use await, it is not going to wait for 300 milliseconds. Now Okay, as you see, it is happening a little bit quick. Maybe we can make it like 500. Now it is better. And the secondly, this circular progress indicator is very big for the button, so we can use a size box to regulate its size. So first thing first, we can make the width like 50, and then we can make the height like 50. Then we can use the constant. Now let's try. Okay, it is much more bigger, so we can make it 20. This is going to be hopefully okay. Yeah, here we go. For to do part, I'm just going to take the log, and here we have a response.body. Actually, this response body is going to be string, which is the JSON string, and we are decoding, which means this response data is the JSON itself, and JSON is going to be map of string dynamic. So why we are using this? Because I want to check if the response data is map of string dynamic. And by the way, we cannot place the variable like that inside of the log, so we have to use interpolation. So now let's restart. I want to see this log, but we have another log here. I just want to deactivate this because that can be annoying in that point. And now if I use correct credentials, which means this one, for example, is the correct email address, so I'm going to paste it right over here. And then we have the password, also I'm going to paste it right over here. And now if I go back to VS Code and if I log in, we deleted this URL endpoint, so I don't know, mistakenly that's happened. And now we want to learn if the response data is map of string dynamic or not. So here there will be a problem because it is going to check if the status code is 200, so it is going to show that for us, and also it is going to throw this error because we have to return something here. Okay, so that may be something like this, because as I told you, this response data, it is going to give us token. Okay, so I'm just going to say future of string because the token is string, and then I'm going to return the token right over here. So currently we are just returning token, but that's also okay. So now I want to learn if the response data is map of string dynamic. So we have to write the correct credentials here. Let's take this, place it right over here, and then the password as well. So let's see what's going to happen. So we are getting true, so which means response data is map of string dynamic, and which means we are receiving this data right now. So how to return the token? That is very easy. So you are just going to say response data, and then we are just going to say token. Okay, and also if you want, you can just say this to show it in the debug console. Okay, so I'm just going to log in again. So it is going to give the token right over here, so it is same. Now what is the next step? So the next step is throwing the error. So for example, so now if I open the simulator and if I try something that is not in the user's list, in that case status code is going to be not 200, and we will get the error message. Okay, and to the exception we are actually passing the error message that we are receiving. So login, So error, so that is actually coming from the Cubit. So here let's delete this. So how to get the actual error in the response? For that, actually I would like to use again log right over here. So I'm just going to say response data. Okay, I will show all the response data, or maybe response.body is string, so we can actually use it, because if it is not 200 we will see what error message we are receiving or what kind of JSON we are receiving. Okay, so I will put some dummy elements here, and if I click to login, so here we go, we are getting the error and user not found. So that's amazing. We are throwing this, and in the login Cubit we are actually catching, and then we are getting the copy with method and passing the error message. Okay, and here the last parameter is this e. Okay, and then maybe we can say on an exception we are actually throwing the exception, and let's see if there is a message here. No, there is just a two string, so no problem. Now how can we receive this error message in, let's say, the login screen? So we can do it by not using the block builder only. We can use BlocConsumer. Okay, so there is BlocConsumer which can be very useful. So here there is a listener. We can actually listen to the state changes. Okay, so we can say if the state has error, okay, so you can actually show snack bar. I'm just going to create a snack bar, and let's say snack bar equals to another snack bar and content. So what can we use as a content? First thing first, this content is going to be widget, so which means we can use a text right over here. I will make it very simple, and then if there is error, which means has error, we are also going to receive the error message. Okay, so it can be null, so we are saying okay. And then how can we show the snack bar? We have already created the instance, so we can use scaffold, I think, messenger dot of context dot then show snack bar. Yes, right over here. Now if we are receiving any error, we are going to show it in the snack bar. Okay, so let's try it. Exception, user not found. Okay, that's great. So now let's see what else we have in the state. So we are going to say state, and here we have has data. So we can use this one as well, because here in the copy with we are actually passing the has data as true, and if there is no any issue in our login, we are basically passing this as has true, and when there is no any error, so we will pass the has error as false. So here loading will be false, has error will be true because we catch the exception, and has data, there is no data, and error, okay, we have the error. So that way we can regulate our Cubit or state. Now what can we do when we have the data, which means if it is successful? So first thing first, we can take snack bar again, but this snack bar is not going to show error message. We will just say successful operation. Okay, something like this. And now if I restart, and also if I use correct credentials, so here if I take this one and place it here, and also let's take the password, Okay, now if I try to log in, successful operation. So which means we are getting token. So if we are getting token, if the response.status code is 200, so that's why we are showing this message. If there is something wrong, if user is not found, something like that, we are not going to receive 200, so which means we are going to get user not found exception.